we respectfully acknowledge the Turrbal and the Yalgara people as the traditional custodians of the land in which this video was filmed.
Hi, I'm Crystal Kinsella. I'm a proud Jarwin and Wiradjuri woman, a supply diversity expert and a published author. Welcome to Meet the Mob, a YouTube series dedicated to showcasing Blak Excellence in business. I get to interview deadly First Nation business owners from around the country and learn all about their why. Today I'm joined by Leesa Watego from Iscariot Media, who will share her why and tell us all about her business and why she does what she does. So to kick it off, tell us about yourself, Leesa.
Hello, thanks so much for having me. Where do I start? So my mob are from northern New South Wales. We're a big Aboriginal and South Sea Island family. I was born and raised here in Brisbane though, so I'm from the north side of Brisbane.
Yeah.
I guess about me, married, 4 kids who are all adults now, so that feels really weird. And I also think, I don't know, but I think there's like the grey hair, there's a grey hair entrepreneur thing happening. I don't know. There's a crew of us who are kind of in that over 50s space now. So I think I'm going to own that space a little bit. But, you know, I mean, I've been in business since 1994. Started my first business in 94. So it's been a long journey and have just seen the business sector change so much, and particularly the Indigenous business sector. And it's exciting. Yeah.
Definitely. You've been around a while.
I know.
Just
I feel old.
No, you don't. You don't. Well, you're definitely someone I look up to. So it's a real honour to have you here today.
Thank you.
Tell me about your why. Like, why go into business? Why are you doing what you're doing?
Well, I actually this is a really hard question for me because I think, and I've never been able to do, like, you know how people do really good elevator pictures? Yes. Even though I train this for a living, I've really struggled because I think there's a couple of things. One, I don't think I'm made I work 9 to 5, so I'm obviously made for a 9 to 5. I love working. Like, I love working, but I don't think I'm made for institutional work. I kind of get a bit bored and kind of I'll last for about 12 months, 18 months, and then I've got to do something else. So it's kind of, there's a bit of that always wanting to try something new. But I think fundamentally, my business journey has been, it's about curiosity and trying things and going, oh, I wonder why that works that way. Yeah. And then just really going, okay, I'll try that. So, and I guess it's really about curiosity, trying new things, but it's also about trying to, my mum always used to say, if you go somewhere, leave it better than when you arrive. So, you know, maybe, you know, straighten up the cushions or you know, pick up a few pieces of rubbish if you're at the park, that kind of thing. So I try to take that approach of as well. I'll try to leave it in a better place than when I arrived. So some of those principles, I think, kind of govern my why. But it's also about working for blackfellas and, you know, thinking about how we can do things I guess it's about using some of the business tools that that we have and actually thinking about how we can use those in communities, which I think there's a lot of powerful opportunities. But, you know, when social media started, so I started the business in 94. We had a partnership, a girlfriend of mine and I, and, you know, made no money. Had a great time though. But made no money. But then eventually the internet was invented and social media was invented, and then I could go, because we were doing educational resources. So our first business was called Nyamba Guri Studies Consultancy. And I discovered the internet and social media and I went, oh, this is a tool where we can communicate with people. And I went, oh my gosh. So that's how come I got into social media pretty early, because I could just see the opportunities for blackfellas and how we communicate and communicating with educators and that kind of thing. So yeah, and that's not a very succinct answer to your question.
There's a lot in that. Well, I guess to kind of pull some of that out, I mean, curious by nature, like solving things or solving problems. Yep. Like lots of diversity in what you're doing. Yeah. And then, you know, a toolbox of I guess lots of different skills and applying that into business. And as you you rightly said about your mum and her influence in that, making impact and changing things for the greater good.
I hope so. And you don't judge, I think. I think it's really, I don't know if I'm doing good. It's up to other people to say, yeah, you did okay.
Yeah.
So, just try to do my best. That's all, I guess. Yeah.
So you do work on a broad range of things. Like I see you obviously have some business things, but you have some passion projects like Black Coffee. Just talk to me a little bit about some of the things you're involved in.
Well, so the company, we call it IM these days. So
IM?
it is formerly Iscariot Media, but we just go IM, so it's just easier. We kind of did doing a bit of rebranding work. So IM is really just basically a creative agency. So that's our bread and butter work. Yeah. We do creative jobs for mostly Queensland government, a lot of Queensland government work, but also a couple of departments in New South Wales and community organisations, some small businesses as well. I would really love to get into the small business space, supporting Indigenous small businesses, but it's a lot trickier under IM. Yeah. We have graphic designers and a young animator we've just employed and project managers. So that team is doing all that work. And that was the work that we started in educational resources. And I guess this is a bit of the story and how I ended up, because I always get a bit confused about how did I get here? Why am I doing this? But so we were doing educational resources and eventually at some point we went, well, I don't actually want to go into classrooms anymore because it's actually too time consuming, and I had small children. Yeah. And my business partner had moved to Sydney and I'd moved back to Brisbane to have babies and all that kind of stuff. But then we thought, well, what we'll do is we'll actually write a book. So we'll write a book and then publish it. And then the graphic designer that I used to produce the book was actually my husband's cousin. So he's a Murray. And he said, well, if you make any money, pay me. If you don't, she'll be right. It's like, oh, on your breast. Thanks, cuss. And then because he's an amazing graphic designer, and then we get a graphic design job. So with a conversation I had with someone, I said, oh, you could do with better graphic design. And she goes, you know what? Well, actually, I do. And so before you know it, we're now doing graphic design, and we do lots of health projects and education projects. And so that's kind of where that evolved. And so I've never worked in a creative agency apart from the one that I own. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I just kind of go, well, I'll do that. I'll have a crack at that. She'll be right. And so now we do, we do videography, we do animation, a whole bunch of stuff. So that's Iscariot. So that's that baby. Now, over the last few years, I've always done, because I was doing social media so early, people would say, oh, can you show me how to do it? And I was like, oh, okay, well, you just Google it. But anyway, and then so I would show people, and then eventually I started business training. But I was training digital and social media. So I've been doing that for ages. And then the jobs just get bigger and bigger and more complex. And before you know it, IM is a creative agency and I do a lot of business training. So we have a business training arm as well. So, it just kind of fell into all of these different things. Yeah. And I guess one of the advantages of running a creative agency is we have a team of graphic designers. So I can say, oh, can we do something? Can you guys just do this over here for me over here? So they'll work on these projects and we kind of buy hours from each other and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also really passionate, and they all intersect, but I'm passionate about the sector. Yeah. I became a volunteer for our local Indigenous Chamber of Commerce. So I've been doing that for a long time as a volunteer. And then Black Coffee emerged from that. And so it's just, do lots of things. I'm a Deadly Runners IMF runners and walkers coach, Deadly Runners coach. Yeah, not so much anymore, but last night we were running we have a Sunday night health and wellbeing group online. So I was doing that last night, and there's lots of things to do. There's so many things to do. Definitely. Yeah. So I don't know if that completely describes. Yeah, it's the question.
There's a lot. Tell us a bit about Black Coffee.
Oh yeah, well it was so funny. So when it was at 2015. It was 2015 or 14 or 15. And our chamber had kind of I think we'd all run out of puff kind of, and there was no funding and there's no staff. And it was just like, the board had kind of just left and there was nothing really left. And I had obviously I'd been on Twitter and social media, and there's this group in Sydney who and they're kind of like in the startup space, and every Friday they have coffees, just non-Indigenous people in the techie sort of world, and they just have coffees. And then so every week they'd have a Friday coffee morning, and different people would turn up, and you'd have yarn conversations and talking to people and building relationships. And I went, well, our chamber doesn't have any money, we don't have any staff, but I have some time to go to coffee.
Yeah.
That's where it started. So it was literally every Friday morning I would travel around southeast Queensland. So the first one was at Kapira. No, it wasn't Kapira, it was Evan Hills. So the first one was there, and then so I'd go, and so I just use social media, go, hey, meeting for coffee, so there. Then I'd go to the south side, then I'd go to the east side, the west. So I would just travel to different cafes, and if nobody turned up, it didn't matter because I'd just take my laptop and I'd have my eggs Benny. That's my favourite thing. Although eventually I worked out eggs your way is like, if you want to save money, eggs your way is the one to go. Most cafes do an eggs your way, which scrambled eggs. So I would just go every Friday morning to a different cafe, and people would come. And then I had a really unsexy name for my coffee initiative. It was called Friday Coffee Morning, Indigenous Business Networking Friday Coffee Mornings or something.
Well, that's a mouthful in itself.
I know. That's so unbrandable. I can't believe I came up with that name. And then Thomas, who lives in Townsville. He was with the Townsville Region Indigenous Business Network.
Is that Thomas Holden?
Yeah,
I know Thomas, yeah.
So Thomas is like, I'm going to do that too, sis. Because we were having yarns about the statewide chambers and all this sort of stuff. And I'm going to call my black coffee. And I was like, oh, that's a great name. So he calls his black coffee, and then Keith Williams, who runs Royal Black, he's going between Townsville and Brisbane, and he comes to a black coffee that we have a coffee morning that I have at Hamilton, and he goes, you two should do this together. And I was like, oh, that's a cool name. And Thomas is calling his black coffee, and I'm like, that's a really good name.
And it's so easy
and marketable. It's so easy to remember. The problem is people think it's about coffee, and I hate coffee. I've never drunk coffee. I've had 2 cups of coffee in my life, and I only took a few sips. I can't stand the smell of it. I can't stand coffee. I hate getting up in the morning. So it's like the most ridiculous thing for me to be a part of, like more early morning breakfast, coffee, but I do like the networking and yarning. Yeah. And so black coffee's really, and we've just done it, and I've had staff at IM do different bits and pieces, so I've paid them to do that, And in the last 12 months, we've got a little bit of funding from a not-for-profit charitable foundation who've, so we've done some evaluation work, and so the next phase of Black Coffee, which I'm kind of calling like the next decade, 22 to 32, is going to be a little bit different, so watch this space. I'm trying.
Keep an eye out for it.
Yeah. There's a few things I really want to tell you, but I just want to make sure it works first. So I'm a little bit excited about it. But it's got nothing to do with coffee. Ugh, can't stand it. But it's about connecting, and I think for me, particularly given that so much of it was, in those early days, it was all Facebook, and I'm a Facebook trainer, so I really love Facebook, the platform, for good. There's things that humans can be. There's lots of stuff that online that's not great, but that's about humanity more than anything else. But, it was all about social media and connecting on social media. And so, I think that it's the connections that you make that I think you can't, it's worth the time. Yeah.
It definitely is. And it must make you feel proud, like it has gone around the country now. I hear over in the West, people are coming together. For black coffee over there.
The only state we haven't had one in, I don't think, is Tasmania. Yeah. So one day we'll have one.
We'll have to hit up Leah Cameron to try and get something happening down. Get one happening down there. That would be great. You're also been heavily involved as sort of one of the founders behind Indigenous Business Month, which happens in October every year. You want to talk to us a little bit about that and what we can expect from this year's theme coming up?
So this year's theme is about actions today, impact tomorrow. So it really does capture, I think it really asks us to think about, what is it that we're doing today and what's that impact that we're leaving for the future? And IBM we should have a month or a week. We should have a day or a week or something. I think maybe I said in a class. And then Mayra goes, okay, and made it happen. So Mayra Sonta from 33 Creative. So it was just like, let's do it. And it's a month and it's October. Okay, let's do it then. So I mean, IBM is one of those examples of where you take an idea, and because it's not like we invented the idea. Like, it's not like we invented it. Other people had done stuff, but it's about what you then do. So you can have an idea, and I think this is about idea and execution. Ideas are great. Ideas are fantastic, but taking something from the idea phase to actually executing it in real life, that's where the discipline, that's where the skill and the discipline and the commitment come in. And I've seen that with lots of different things. You know, people will have ideas about stuff. But IBM is a great example of taking an idea and going, okay, well, what do we have? And so the three of us, so it's University of Melbourne, Michelle Evans, 33 Creative, Mayra Sontra, and myself and Iscariot. We all kind of just band together and make it happen every year. And every now and then, it's about the last week in September, I'll just become really annoyed with everybody. Because when you build it, they come and it's like, oh my God, can you all just
bigger
slow
and
down? Because people need their stuff online and they need to get, it's like, what's this and what is this? And it's like, bloody hell, just read the guidelines. It's all there. But yeah, I mean, it gets really busy in the last week of September. But it's just about showcasing Indigenous businesses and really saying, hey, this is what the sector looks like within all its diversity. And I think that, you know, as the years have gone on, I can't even remember how many years it is. It's like 7 or 8 years. Yeah. But as the years have gone on, more institutions have got on board, and more businesses are starting to say, we want to do something in our calendar for that period. So, yeah, it's exciting.
I love that. Build it and they will come. And I'm just seeing it grow and grow from year on year. And it's something for us all to celebrate that sits outside of, I guess, the regular calendar of events that happens for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people.
It is interesting how it has become something on people's calendar. It's kind of cool. It's cool. It's cool. You're
pretty cool, Leesa, and you've done some pretty cool stuff, definitely.
A bit crazy, but cool.
So then, what's your legacy? What's this piece? You know, you look into the future, you look back at all these things you've done. What will be the legacy?
Well, that will be, I think, it's such a hard question. I mean, I think it's for other people to decide what my legacy will be. But, I mean, and it's interesting now. Like, I'm not old. I'm 53, but I am getting towards that, okay, well, what does the next 20, 30 years look like for me? You know, thinking about my house and where do I live and how, you know, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you think about at 53 that you weren't thinking about at 43 or 33. And I am starting to, and it's funny because as the business has grown and now being at this age, it's, okay, well, I have to exit at some point. I will be exiting we all exit at some point. How is that going to happen? And so the work at IM is about setting up the structures and thinking about what does that next 10 and 20 years look like for the company? Is it going to continue once I'm gone? How do I retire? How do I cut back on my workload? I mean, there's other things that I want to do. I want to think about maybe doing a, you know, further study, you know, and I can't do that at the moment because there's just too many things going on. But, I mean, I think the legacy, I mean, I guess people that person who did all of those things. You know, and I guess, you know, maybe like a message for other people who do as many things is probably think about the cost of that as well. Like, there's a cost involved for the business has paid the price, and like, we're all good. And in the last couple of years, we've grown a lot since we got on a government panel, and we've grown a lot. But that could have happened sooner had I not done all of this other stuff. You know, so I think I don't know that my approach is the best approach if you're looking to have, you probably need to be a bit more focused if you want to have certain outcomes. So I just, I'm not saying don't do it the way I've done it, kids. It may not work out for you. I mean, but you know, I can walk into a room or I can sit down at a project and apply a wider lens than most other people. I'm not just a creative. I don't just run a creative agency. I have all of these other interests that kind of can just feed into things. So a wide lens is good, but sometimes it can actually be detrimental in other ways. There's a cost to everything.
Definitely stretching yourself too wide. But, well, I mean, what you said sort of at the outset there when I asked that legacy question is, well, what people see or think of me. And if I was to say what's Leesa's legacy what I know of you is You're a connector. You're an enabler.
Thank you.
You share. You're so generous, most definitely. And you've helped to build the sector through everything you've given through capability development. So
Thanks.
good on you. Nah.
Maybe don't do it the way I've done it though.
Oh, well,
But yeah.
all that trial and error, it does mean
Yeah.
something. There's lots of lessons and experiences then you can
Yeah.
share and
Thank
can
you.
flow to others as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any kind of final words you might have for our audience?
Oh, I don't know. Hello, everybody. Just have a crack. I think, I get very frustrated when people, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. It's like, okay, come on then.
Yeah.
Just come on then. And so in the business training work that we do, sometimes it's about, you don't need my permission to start, but we sometimes give people, it's like, you can do this. Cannot? Yes, you can. Come on. Come on the journey. And I don't think business is the answer to, the business world is not the answer to everything, but some of the things that we do and the way we go about our work can be really useful and actually can be beneficial. And I think economic self-determination is fundamental, is just one of those fundamentals for living a good life. And
Actions today, impact
tomorrow. There you go.
Okay. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed the latest episode of Meet the Mob. Make sure you connect with Leesa online and share her story with your networks. Until next time.